Right, I didn't particularly want to do this video, mainly because it gets very kind of like political and it's very dense. But I've been seeing a lot of chatter in on socials and in groups and stuff, and people are it's getting a bit kind of out there. Some people have done videos on it, and it's like definitely clickbaity kind of videos, and it's just ridiculous, quite honestly. So of course I'm going to add my 2 pence with in, because I'm coming at it in an entirely different way. Because A, I'm not a tax expert. I've just my taxes. I pay my taxes every year. I do it out myself. I do all the digital stuff, self-referral and all that lot, all done. So that's my experience. I'm not VAT registered. I'm nowhere near VAT registered. When you get to 90,000 of your turnover, you're expected to fill out VAT tax returns. It's like an extra added bit, isn't it? And yeah, you go through the HMRC obviously, and I think it's like 20%, although there is a few zero VAT items that you can actually sell that don't have VAT tax on top, which is, I think it's educational toys, children's clothing. Food is we've got no VAT on food. Yeah, children's clothing, books and publications, printed books, newspapers, magazines, there is 0 rated. However, ebooks are, I think. So FYI, I actually do a few self-publishing kind of stuff. It's not like really, it's more digital items than they can do printouts. It's like pods, it's print on demand. So when I hit 90, I will be expected to pay VAT on that, and it's usually standard at like 20%. Or there's something called the second-hand margin scheme, which is a little bit complicated, and I'm not going to get into it now, but that's basically on like second-hand goods. I think it's something like 16.67, if I got that right. So what's actually happened? Well, the rumour is that the Labour government in November, when the budget happens, I think it's the 26th, isn't it? 26th of November, is that they're going to reduce the threshold you have to start paying VAT from 90,000 potentially down to 30,000. And I've seen it's going to be staggered year on year. It might go down to 75, then 60, then 50, then 30. I've seen lots of different metrics. I've even seen it go up, potentially that they could actually increase it. So what does this mean? If they do bring it down from 90 to 30, it'll catch the majority of small businesses, I think. And usually it's around 4 to 5 million businesses that earn probably less than 90. That's what came out around COVID time. It will only generate 2 billion annually. Only 2 billion annually into the coffers. In the grand scheme of things, it's actually not a lot. This is just one of the very many rumours that have gone around, and a lot of people are screaming. You know, obviously Labour have gotten in and everything, and they're ridiculously low in the polls. And yeah, they've just been fucking up pretty much every month now. It's like non-stop. And then this rumour's coming out, and it's killing confidence in businesses. And yeah, so what do I think will happen? Will Rachel Reeves say in the budget come November? First off, I don't think that she will do this, mainly because it is political suicide. They are already so low. Why would they risk? Because this will hit. So many people will be affected by this, and then their families as well. So it's like, why would Rachel Reeves punish them for a tiny amount in the grand scheme of things? It won't actually bring in that much. 2 billion, yeah, is a lot, but it won't actually bring in that much. If they ended up raising it, I think it's to 100,000. I think it'll still only bring in like, I think he worked out, is it like 200 million? Still not a lot, but like, you know, it could ease that burden on small businesses, and it'll allow them to grow a bit more. I think, was it the Resolute Foundation was looking at like 120,000 or 130,000 as well for the VAT threshold. So yeah, it would impose on small businesses and self-employed people a significant amount of stress, undue stress, I think, because we already spend, I think it's 45 hours a year on taxes. That was what was estimated that self-employed people do, and that is a lot. It's like 2 full days out of 365 days just doing taxes, which is crazy. But if you think like paperwork, software costs, compliance burdens, you know, it would be inundated. And plus, is HMRC ready for an extra 4 million people who, yes, are already using their system, but to add even more on to them to fill out their VAT paper, it would just be chaos. It would be chaos. So yeah, I do not think that she would do that. I don't know, because this is the thing, anything's fair game now. We expected them to be radically different, but instead it feels like they are punishing a lot of different sectors of people. And this is like, what, like I said, like probably about 4 million people that are earning under that threshold. Add to that any significant others or families that are affected, you're talking probably close to about 10 million people that could be affected by this. That's a sixth of the population. Crazy, it's crazy. Directly or indirectly, that is like political suicide in my opinion. I don't think she'll do it. I don't think she's crazy enough to do it when there are so many other options that she could take. For instance, we subsidise the oil companies and fossil fuel companies to the tune of 17.5 billion per year, but that's broken down into very different ways. Like we get reduced VAT on it, so it doesn't affect us so much, and it doesn't affect like businesses who deal in that, so like petrol stations and stuff. But directly, the tax reliefs are 2.7 billion. 2.7 billion we give to oil companies when they fill out their taxes. Yet they've got record profits of 30 billion a year. I think it was last year, it was 30 billion. So why are we giving money when they're so profitable? They don't need it. And yet if they take 2 billion off us by reducing the VAT, that could put out hundreds, if not thousands of us out of business. Why would they do that? And then we'd have to, if we can't get jobs in the mainstream economy, which a lot of us can't or don't want to, we might have to go on benefits. So why would we take even more money off the state when we were producing money off the state? Whereas the government is giving 2.7 billion away for free. Why can't they just stop and take that back and cover the cost of what they need, you know, for us? We're in the majority. There's only like, what, probably like a dozen oil companies. Why are they getting all the cheddar? Does not make sense. There was a very popular campaign about 15 years ago, well, about 14, 15 years ago, and it was called the Robin Hood tax. And it was just about charging financial transactions on dividends, stocks, and shares and all that lot. So basically the city, the big hedge fund managers, because the majority of us don't really, because it was pre-COVID and pre-trading 212 or Vanguard or, you know, Bitcoin and all that lot. It was the Robin Hood tax proposed a 0.05, so not even 1%, not even half of 1%, 0.05% on transactions, and the estimated it could raise anywhere. I think the general consensus was around 18 billion, but it was anywhere, it was estimated from between, I think it was like 7 billion and like 20 billion or 25 billion. It was like a pendulum going back and forth, but general consensus, it was probably around like 17 billion. That would cover everything, wouldn't it? It would cover the black hole for the NHS pension scheme. It would, well, not really, but it would do a big chunk. You could do invest in global, you could bring back the water in, which the majority of the people want. Speaking of which, the Robin Hood tax, they did a survey of the Robin Hood tax across Europe at the time, and it was done. 27,000 people were polled about it, and 80% agreed if the global agreement of a transaction tax can't be reached, FTT or a Robin Hood tax should initially be implemented in just the EU. Support for the Robin Hood tax in the UK was 65%. 65% of people want us to tax just that financial transaction tax. The poll indicates strong support for the FTT among supporters of all three major parties. So Lib Dems, Labour and Conservatives, the majorities agreed. Despite the arguments that an EU-only FTT tax would hurt Great Britain, other polls in 2011 suggested that 2/3 of British public supported the Robin Hood tax campaign. So it's got the approval. That was 15 years ago, but it's got the approval. If you say like tax the rich, and then of course you're going to get people saying, oh, but they'll leave. It's been proven that's false. They won't. If you if a bank, because that's all you're proposing, if a bank, if you they can't move all of their stuff quickly. And plus, we're one of the biggest economies in the world. Why would they leave when we've got this much money? Technically, we've got a lot of money. Why would we leave? Why would they leave? Because then we'd just ban them. Instead, I think if they do leave, then they should get charged an exit tax. Now, this has been an argument going on for months now, like the billionaires would just leave and, yeah, but can't take their properties with them. They're going to have to sell them. Or, you know, if what I've heard recently, exit tax. America has it. America has an exit tax. And I would argue bring in a Patriot rebate. If people are going to stay, billionaires are going to stay, then they can claim a little bit back. Just saying. So yeah, but this is not a political, I mean, it's all political, but like, I'm not getting into like the debate side of what's good or what's bad. It's just an example of, that's two examples which Labour currently, they could cover everything just by doing that. It would have been a lot more easy, and they wouldn't have been kicked in the teeth as much this past year if they just did that. One tax solving 7 or 8 different problems. Not everything, but still pretty decent. That's if it even happens. We don't know. All these rumours are just rumours, and I would like to know where they came from and follow in the Chinese whispers, probably to some fear-mongering Daily Express journo, let's be honest. So, yeah, I don't know if this is going to happen. It probably won't, because it's political suicide, and, yeah, there are far easier options, and you know, they don't have much political expenditure left. They might as well use what they can now to push through actual change instead of tinkering around the edges and doing shit like this. Crazy, crazy. What happens if they do? That's what I'm worried about. Like, I don't trust anything now, but what happens if they do put it in? Well, 5th of November. How apropos, how appropriate, blowing up my business, blowing up the parliament. Part 2. Should we all gang together? Resellers United. Yeah, what if they do? There's nothing we can do about it. It's going to be, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And, you know, we can still run our businesses, but it's going to take an even bigger chunk out of it. Some of it, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to lose the business or transition into normal, more mainstream work. But yeah, I think it's sad if that happens, because we need more options to earn money, not less. And this is pushing, bottlenecking people, forcing people into work, and people who, like, I will never go back to major work unless something serious happens, like serious. And this is not, for me, serious. I can afford it. Barely. I can afford it. But that's only because I'm living with my family right now. So yeah, and I know other people are like, who have just started families, who are young families, who are like on their own, and they're paying all their bills, and then they've got this to contend with. It's like, it's atrocious. So the budget can't come soon enough, in my opinion. That's what I wanted to say. And I just think that some people are overreacting. Some people are clickbaiting. Sorry about that. But other people need to get a grip and just to calm down and just wait, because there's nothing we can do in the meantime, and there's nothing that we can do after. We can only react, and we can only react in one of two ways: either shut down the business or swallow it. Just take a breath. Don't believe everything that you read on the Daily Mail or the Guardian, or, you know, a Facebook post or some dickhead on YouTube gobbing off. I'm referring to myself, no one else. Don't read into that. Don't cause no drama. Reselling isn't going away anytime soon. Unfortunately, we're just going to have to live with whatever happens next, but that's going to happen in the next few weeks. I might do a reaction video on it. And yeah, and if I might just turn off the comments, because everyone's got an opinion. It's like, and that's not what this channel's about. This is just my opinion. And if you've got an opinion, you've got an opinion, that's fine, but do your own video. You don't need to comment on mine. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.